Okay, so this lesson will be on how to compare and order fractions. So sometimes you may be you'll be given a list of fractions and you'll have to determine them from greatest to least or least to greatest. And there's a few different ways that you can compare and order them. So for example, I have a list of fractions here. I have 1/2, 2/8, 4/10, and 5/6, and I'm going to order them from least to greatest. So, usually the way that I like to figure out fractions is I like to kind of look at them reasonably. So I use what's called benchmark fractions. And the big benchmark fractions are 0, half, and whole. So I kind of look at each of my fractions and then kind of start putting them in order based off of where they compare to 0, half, and whole. And I see that my first fraction, 1/2, is a benchmark fraction. So I'm going to use that to kind of gauge where my other fractions would be. So 2/8 is less than half because half of 8 is 4, which would be 4/8. And 2/8 is less than 4/8, which means it's less than 1/2. So I know that that's going to come before 1/2 when I order them. And I see that 4/10 is also less than 1/2 because half of 10 is 5, which is 5/8. Oh my goodness, I put the wrong denominator there. Hold on, let me fix that fraction real quick. This should be a 10. Oh Lord. Miss Choquette was not quite as prepared as I wanted to. All right, so which would be 5/10 and 4/10 is less. So I know that 2/8 and 4/10 will come before 1/2. Just not sure which one is bigger or smaller than the other. Then we have 5/6, and 5/6 is greater than 1/2 because half of 6 is 3, which is 3/6, and 5/6 is more. So I can immediately order 2 of them. I go ahead and slap 1/2 on here. I know 2 of them are going to be less than 1/2, and I do know that 5/6 will come last because it's the greatest. And then I have to figure out, well, okay, where does 2/8 and 4/10 compare to each other? Well, 2 is 2 away from 1/2, and 4 is only 1 away from 1/2. So I'm going to go ahead and assume that 2/8 is less than 4/10. Make sense? Makes sense? Yeah, makes sense to me. You're just shaking your head, yes. My daughter's recording in case y'all are wondering. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and put them in order. 2/8 is less than 4/10, and 4/10 is less than 1/2, and 1/2 is less than 5/6. And I've ordered them from least to greatest. But sometimes when you have 2 that you're trying to figure out where they go, you can create equivalent fractions with common denominators to compare them as well. So what I've done here is I've multiplied my 8 by 10 and my 10 by 8. So I've just taken the 2 denominators and multiplied them by the other denominator. I hope that makes sense. So I took my 8 and multiplied it by a 10. I took my 10 and multiplied it by the 8, and I end up with 80 as a common denominator. I did the same thing to my numerator. So 8 times 10 is 80, so 2 times 10 is 20. And then 10 times 8 is 80. So 4 times 8 is 32. And you can see that 20/80ths is in fact less than 32/80ths, which means 2/8 is less than 4/10, which is what we kind of figured out using benchmark fractions. So that is a way to compare and order fractions. We'll do more practice in class.